Ultimately, consolidation is absolutely on the cards. If you think about what the OEMs and OTTs are doing in this space, they're really bringing together the best in fast channel content, in some cases going out licensing their own, but in Paramount's case and Pluto TV's, licensing our channels, distributing them, and ultimately driving better user engagement and a better user experience overall on their platforms. So whilst there is an element of consolidation, I feel that there's further fragmentation as SVOD starts to go into hybrid VOD, freemium VOD, as other VOD providers start entering this space further. So whilst FAST might be consolidating, streaming has not yet gotten to that same space. As a premium traditional broadcaster, we've been working across multiple markets for many years, over 140 in fact outside of the US. But with that comes the challenge of measurement. And one of the challenges that I've been set is how can we measure total video, total TV across all of those distinct markets. Now, there isn't a one-size-fits-all solution. There is a multitude of third-party research and insight providers out there, all of them providing varying levels of detail and service. But ultimately, the challenge here is to create a unified metric, a currency that advertisers, agencies, broadcasters can measure themselves against and truly drive value back to the buy side and the sell side. With CTV measurement in the current place that it is, in some markets, advanced markets like the US, the UK, Germany, there's very much already a backbone of measurement there, and it comes from a traditional TV space. Now, of course, TV is being measured across all different markets, but different markets outside of those three that I mentioned before are in varying stages of readiness. Some of them are maybe 2-3 years behind. Ultimately, it comes down to that local market determining what does success look like? How do we measure attribution? How can we make a metric that's transferable between that of traditional AV planner buyers that they can go, hey, we're going to access the same demographic, the same audience, we're going to get like an incremental reach across these platforms. So whilst it's not solved just yet, there's most definitely a lot of work to do in this space outside of the more developed CTV markets right now. At the moment, I would say that there's a little bit of a way to go when it comes to performance DR-based advertisers, traditional TV performance advertisers as well. Largely, it comes down to some gaps in attribution and ultimately proving that return on ad spend for them. But there are solutions coming out. There are more robust methodologies that are able to attribute back that impression, that exposed user, that viewer, that household perhaps, and then tracking it back to a purchase intent or purchase decision place. So whilst I'd say it's not cracked yet, there is definite strides towards the ultimate solution. And in certain markets, that's the case. In UK, US, more advanced markets, for example, even Germany, there's methodologies in place to prove the efficacy. But outside of that, different markets, outside, like international markets in general, are at varying stages of their CTV and proof of performance journey. Ultimately, frequency capping is something that is now being more aggressively implemented by our buyers and just generally by clients for their requirements. But a lot of this notion around applying a frequency cap to a unique user or a unique IP address in a CTV environment, or a TV environment for that matter, doesn't necessarily translate itself to what traditional frequency capping ideals have been built on, which is largely a display or a mobile video or an online video output. But with CTV platforms, you have to start looking more at the household as you do with TV. And with that, there are multiple sessions in a day. Perhaps on Pluto TV, there might be 20 hours of cumulative viewing across the course of a month from a user. That's a really engaged user who's enjoying our services and we're retaining their business. But ultimately, that's not looking at them as it comes to the household. There might be 4 people in the household, all enjoying Pluto TV. Applying a blanket frequency cap, a per lifetime frequency cap, a per week frequency cap, you're not necessarily addressing the entire household that are having different viewing sessions, but in fact limiting yourself and limiting your ability to reach the wider audience behind the screen.